Hi everybody, hopefully this is the last video in the sequence of how to get things running in a production server. I'm showing it on Google Cloud, but things are very similar in other servers. So where we left off was that I showed you how to just get it basically running on Google Cloud, and we're happy that things worked fine and things seem to be running. So now we want to be able to run it all the time. And when the machine, if the machine ever goes down, our virtual machine on Google, when it restarts, we want our program to restart as well. So we want the program to be kind of always up, regardless of whether we're logged in or not. And so here's how to do that. And before we do that, I needed to change this. I wanted to run on port 8080, not port 80. And so let's go ahead and do that. We could change it on Vim, but I want to do it more permanently by doing it on the development machine first. So let me go ahead and do that. So instead here, I'm on my development, on my Mac. I'm going to change this to 8080, back to 8080. Save that. And here I am here. I'm going to clear, just so people can see what I'm doing. I'll get, whoops, I'm not in the right directory, or am I? Oh, yes, I am. Okay. Oop. Okay, so that worked. So now it's up on GitLab, and now I need to get it back on the Google side. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and let's just see if that's true. More to-do.js. And here it's now set to 8080. So that looks great. All right. So that's the version we want. We run it on 8080. We cannot directly not test this just by typing npm run start at the moment, because we're not listing on port 8080 externally. But we can, it's a start to get everything configured. And what we're going to do is this. So let me click here. And the idea is we're going to be running what's called a proxy server. So this isn't exactly right, but it's close enough. So what we're going to do, instead of Alice and Bob communicating directly, like our code to the browser, we're going to have what's called a proxy server running in between. So before, remember, this browser, Alice, could ask our code, what's the to-do list? It's kind of the direct leap, and our code would respond with the to-do list. Now what's going to happen is Alice asks a proxy server, what's the to-do list? The proxy server will ask our code, what's the to-do list? Our code gives back to the proxy server the to-do list, and now the proxy server responds back to Alice. So there's many good reasons why to use this method, and one of them is just really basically security. It just helps secure-wise. So let's go ahead and set this up. Now the code to do this, DigitalOcean, which I mentioned before, is really good at writing little explanations of how to do stuff, and I'm following that. So I'm following this, how to set up a NodeJS application for production on Ubuntu 14.04. We're running Ubuntu 7. If you were following my tutorial, it's 17 something, but it still works fine. So DigitalOcean, if you search for DigitalOcean, how to set up a Node.js application for production on Ubuntu 14.4, you'll get these instructions and be able to follow along. So what I'll do now is, so we installed Node. We did all this already. At some point, we need to install the program that actually, we did all that. So we did an awful lot of this tutorial. Congratulations. Here we are. And now we need to install this PM2, which is I'm going to do. So I'm just going to copy this and hope for the best. All right, and now let me clear that. And PM2 is the thing that keeps our program running. So it's a system that's always going to keep our program running regardless of whether we're logged in or not. So that's what PM2 does. And so that's great. That's exactly what we want to be doing. And we'll punt on this for the time being. You may want to follow along, but I'm just trying to do it a slightly different way. Oh, what the heck. I'll start it this way. So I can start the application by going PM2 start and then our application. So sure, let's do it their way. So here I am. So it's PM2 start todo.js. Okay, I'm hoping everything's working. It says online. So let's see if this all works. So the next thing we need to do is set up this reverse proxy server. So again, you can read the instructions at this DigitalOcean site, but when we just recently did a sudo apt-get update, so I'm going to install Nginx. Sudo apt-get install Nginx. Yes. Okay, sorry. So now that's installed. Let's clear everything. So now what we want to do is edit a file. They say edit a file, but I found it easier to create the file on my local machine, my development machine, and then move it to Google. So I'll show you that method. So now what we want to do is edit this file, etc. Nginx sites available default, and put in this information they have in red. And instead of editing that file, I find it much easier just to edit it in Sublime. So I made a copy of that here. So that's just a copy of what their instructions are. And we want to replace this example.com with the external IP of our web server and this private IP with the private one. So let's go ahead and do that. So here's our compute engine. The internal IP is, so we've already highlighted it. So now what I want to do is copy it into Sublime, which let me do that. So that's this private IP address here. So I'm going to go there and copy it in. And then I want the external IP address there to be, again, I'm going into Sublime. And there. Looks good. And everything else remains the same. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to now I'm going to upload that file into the our virtual machine. So let me go ahead and do that. So here we are, and I'm going to use this feature here on the right, which is upload file. And it's the default one. So you can upload everything, but I think all your development files should be done through Git and managed through Git. It's not really a good idea to do this file upload unless it's sort of things you're just editing like I'm doing here. All right, so now I have that file. It's sort of a two-step process. Now I have that file in my home directory. So if I do, all right, and now when I look at it, there's default. And now what I want to do is copy that to the directory that our DigitalOcean tutorial told us to, and that's etc. Nginx sites available and default. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Sorry. I think it's this one. Okay, so I'm going to copy. Etc. If I could spell. Nginx sites available. I'll put it there. And that's done. And let me just check to see if it looked like the one we put. So that looks good. So we have that server name that we edited and our local machine that we've edited. So that all looks like promising. So I go back to our instructions here. And then it says we should restart Nginx server. So let me try that. and apparently it's restarted. So now we're running our Node application on port 8080 locally, and I guess I could bring up that little upload again. So here we have it on Bob, I guess. And when some outside website makes a request, it goes through that proxy, that Nginx. That proxy routes the request to our program that's running. Our program responds to the proxy, and then the proxy bounces it back to Alice. That is our little hope. So let's see if this is right. And it is. So here we have, I put in that external IP address running on port 80, and I say API, and we get this information. So that's it for how to set it up with so it runs all the time. Let me just prove it to you that it's running all the time by kind of closing out of these. So here, there's one of my instances. I'm just going to close it. Yes, I'll leave the site. I have another one up and running here, and I'll log out of there. Right, so I'm nothing logged in anymore, but yet my site remains perfectly up. So that's pretty cool. And look more, so if you update your website, you make changes and fix it, there is a options in PM2 to reload. So just check out that documentation. So I hope this was helpful. Sorry for any confusion I may have caused. See you next video.